Hey, wake up. Yeah. Got my man Dave, got my man Dan. You know what time it is, and this is 2-6. Yeah. Ask us, we seatbelts, boy. You better strap up. Conversations is controversy. It's time to act up. Carolina ballistics, where the precision's wicked. Tune in and listen. It get deep if you dig it. No reason to act tough. Carolina ballistics training academy. Ain't no reason to act tough. So listen up.
Hey guys, this is Dan. Sign up for classes, buy merch at carolinaballisticsta.net. That's carolinaballisticsta.net.
Hey, what's up? What's going on, everybody? Welcome to our bonus episode of the season. Me and Dave thought we were done with season 15, but guys, we got more. We have a very special guest for you guys today. The King Kong of consciousness, Dr. Umar Johnson. Dr. Umar Johnson, say hello to the audience for us.
Peace and Pan-Africanism, peace and Pan-Africanism. Glad to be with you.
It was beautiful, man. Absolutely beautiful. All right, so Dr. Umar, for a lot of people, you have surged in our pop culture by means of the Breakfast Club and Hell of a Week. But for the few people that don't know who you are, would you mind giving us a little bit of an introduction of who you are?
Yes, sir. Doctor of Clinical Psychology, certified school psychologist, certified school principal, author, psychoacademic Holocaust, the special education and ADHD wars against Black boys, author of Black Parent Advocate, The Art of War for dealing with America's public and charter schools, author of dozens of articles floating around the internet on various political, economic, social, and cultural topics relevant to African people, founder of the Frederick Douglass and Marcus Garvey Academy, the first school in American history to be purchased, renovated, and operated with donations from African people from every continent. And we're hoping that we will be able to have our grand community opening for the FDMG Academy sometime in Black History Month next year.
Beautiful, beautiful. So let's start off with a little piece on that school. What exactly is that school about?
The Frederick Douglass and Marcus Garvey Academy grew out of a very critical need for us to create educational systems for our own children. Black boys have the worst outcomes in America's school system. Only 25% of our sons will graduate. 2 and 3 will be referred for special education. Another 2 and 3 will be referred for psychiatric medication and ADHD evaluations. The school to prison pipeline is a very, very real thing. Schools deliberately undereducate Black children, particularly the boys, in order to disadvantage them and set them up on a lifelong trajectory of failure and recidivism through the American criminal justice system. And so we want to stop all that. But more than just reacting to what's being done to Black boys, we want to fulfill a need, a vacuum of Black leadership in our community, not just here in America, but across the diaspora. I am a Pan-Africanist, so I'm concerned about all Black people, not just the ones around here. And as a result of that, we want to create a system where we are creating men, real men, men for our communities, men for our women, men for our children, men to fight the many battles that our people are coming up against. We are a school based on making sure our young men understand the critical importance of Pan-Africanism and the critical importance of economic empowerment. We need to have an economic revolution as an African people. But in order to do that, there must be an intellectual revolution. And the primary purpose of the FDMG Academy is to begin that intellectual revolution. And we're doing it with our children because, as the great Frederick Douglass said, "My kinsman and blood relative, it is better to raise strong children than to repair broken men."
That's a fact. That's a fact.
I got a question.
Right.
Something you said just in that, and I've heard you speak on it before, is raising men. And my question is, I think it's the school will help that, but the bigger question is, because of the prison to school to prison pipeline, which you just spoke of, and taking men out of the community, how much is it that raising men becomes hard when there's not enough men in the community, when they're doing 8 hours of school, but the rest of the time, where do they see the men? Because we're living in a matriarchal society because you remove so many Black men from our community.
Well, we're living in a matriarchal society because the Black men who have not been removed from the community are not filling in the void of young men whose fathers have been taken away from them. We do not operate as a village. That is the problem with Black America. Black America does not have a village mentality. The Mexican American community has a village mentality. The Native American community has a village mentality. The Anglo-Saxon, the Jewish, the Arab, the East Indian community, they have a Anglo-Saxon mentality. The Chinese, the Japanese, the Vietnamese, the Cambodians, they have a village mentality. And the irony is all of these other cultures and races who embrace a village mentality got that concept from us. So the people who invented the village mentality have abandoned it, and the other folks who did not invent the village mentality are the ones making use of it. The fact that we have so many Black men in prison isn't the reason our young men are fatherless. Our young men are fatherless because the Black men who have not been incarcerated are not filling in the void. Most of our professional Black men live somewhere outside of the predominant inner city African American community. They have abandoned us. The reason why the gangster rappers and the athletes are the celebrities is because the doctor, the engineer, the dentist, the surgeon, the business owner lives in a white neighborhood, and quite often with a non-African woman.
Wow. Wow. So moving on to another question. And I'm going to jump to this because I thought this was a really interesting take on reparations. Why did you say that a cash payout for reparations was a trap?
I'm not totally against a cash payout if it's at the bottom of the list of demands. It cannot be at the top. If a cash payment is the most important part of your restitution package, then your restitution package is a failure. Understand something. There's three key principles that reparations restitution should be based upon. Number one, the benefit of enslavement to America will never expire. What our ancestors did for this country in basically giving birth to it economically and politically, what we did for America will never expire. As long as there is a United States, the benefit of slavery will always be seen and felt within that United States. Therefore, anything that you ask for must likewise equally not expire. Money runs out. Money has an expiration date. And not only does money run out and money have an expiration date, but if you give money to a financially illiterate people, if you give money to a people who are cursed with the most pathological and virulent form of self-hatred known to modern man, if you give people who don't have any institutions, no neighborhood infrastructure, no community collective systems or processes in place through which they can trap that money inside, then every dollar you give us for reparations automatically repatriates back to the white man who gave it to us.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
That's the second point of reparations is not just for Black people living in America right now. It's not for the 50 million here. It's for all of those who have come before, and it's for all of those who are coming after us. There's very little conversation about what we're going to do for generations yet unborn. How much of this restitution package is going to be put in trust to the next generation and the generation after that. And 20 generations from now should be able to benefit from that reparations package. The third principle of reparations is that wealth is absolutely critical to any restitution package that you request, because only through wealth and the recycling of that wealth will we be able to sustain ourselves. In my opinion, the conversations that I'm hearing about reparations are very short-sighted and they're very nearsighted. I'll give you a quick example. California is rolling out the first reparations experiment. I don't think it's a coincidence that it's being done in California, because California has long been America's social science research monkey testing ground. Anything America wants to push across the country, they push it in California first, because not only is it one of our largest states, not only does it have one of our largest cities, it is also the most culturally diverse place in America. So if you can push it in California, you can pretty much push it everywhere. California just passed the restitution package where they say we're going to give every American African in California $233,000. Now, for politically uneducated Negroes, that sounds like a solution.
A lot of money, yeah.
Exactly. But when you step back, understand something. Slavery created structural inadequacies, systemic biases, institutional disproportionalities. If you allow them to give you money, and you brothers are intelligent black men, if you allow them to give you money, does that money change the structural inadequacies?
Nah.
No.
Does that money do anything about the institutional racism?
No.
Does that money reverse any of the problems created by America's systems? Absolutely not. In fact, the purpose of giving you the money is so you can invest it back into America's economy. And who invests more of their money back into the American economy than the Americanized Negro? As I said, cash payment is a trap.
Yeah.
Now, my question on cash payment, because you could just change it where, like, look at inflation now, going back from the COVID payouts and everything. If you pay every African American across the country $233,000, well, you just made it worth $50,000 once, because now you just flooded the economy with money, but we didn't change anything. So now the inflation on that is going to go through the roof. And now,
absolutely,
yeah, 233,000 just became 50.
The value of that money drops every single day that you have it.
Mm-hmm.
The value of the money drops every single day that you have it. Not only that, if you accept cash payment as your priority means of restitution, if you accept worthless paper money, because that's what you're doing, you're accepting monopoly money in exchange for the worst human degradation experiment known to mankind.
Yeah.
You're going to accept paper money for the greatest Holocaust ever perpetuated in the history of man. That is insane. But let me tell you what else they're going to do, gentlemen, because they think these things out. America has think tanks. The white power structure has think tanks. Black America doesn't have think tanks. We have intellectual masturbation tanks. We sit around and debate Christianity. We want to sit around and debate Hebrewism. We want to sit around and debate Islam. We want to sit around and debate ancient Egypt. We want to sit around and debate things that have absolutely nothing to do with the present or future reality of African children. White people debate and they think tank political strategy, economic strategy, eugenicidal racial extermination strategy. That's what they do. Okay. Bill Gates's decision to buy as much arable farmland in America as possible grew out of a decision of a white think tank that if we control the arable land, then we control the quality of food that people eat. And if we control the quality of food people eat, we control how long people live. You understand? But getting back to the reparations, one of the traps that I also see with the cash payment, before we even get to inflation, my brother, before that check touches your hand, I will bet you my last dollar. Before that check touches your hand, they're going to take money out for unpaid student loans, unpaid child support, unpaid taxes, and all types of other unpaid bills. So but a lot of black men won't get a penny from their check. A lot of black women won't get a penny from that check. Now, of course, the argument can be made is you can make sure that these are provisions in the restitution package that, you know, cannot be taken out. But they're going to take it out anyway because they're the ones giving it to you. If you think white people are going to sit by and let black people get an economic hand up while so many poor white folks is around this country already angry at the government and threatening rebellion, insurrection, a 21st century civil war, you are out of your mind. I do believe in reparations. I do believe we will get reparations, but I do not like the state we are in as we approach reparations. The mindset of the reparations conversation is thirsty, is very greedy for money. It does not have a visionary concept, and it is not about the best interests of all African people in this country.
Well, it goes back to what you just said was about basically you said on the white think tanks are doing long game. Hey, 10 years from now, I buy all this land up, but 10 years from now, this is what I'm using the land for. From what I'm understanding, you're saying, hey, if we just taking money right now, we're thinking very short term instead of long term.
Absolutely. Money is not the most important thing you need to build an independent community. You need wealth. You understand? Look at Israel. Israel was reparations for European Jews. Okay? They have a whole country of their own, stolen from the Palestinians, but nonetheless, it's a Jewish state. They have the land to grow, the land to build, the land to protect, the land to create, the land to do whatever it is that they want to do. Now, some people might ask the question, well, why not put Israel in Europe somewhere? Why did they put Israel in America somewhere? Because the European Jews understand there's no such thing as an independent nation if that nation is based inside of the geographical territory of another nation. So you have black people in America who say, well, America should give us a couple states. Okay, I'm not going to fight you against that, but don't call that no independent country. Okay, that might be an independent concentration camp, but it's not an independent country. You can't be surrounded by your enemy on all four sides and claim that you're free.
For sure, for sure. So what's popular now is the concept of CRT, critical race theory. We've had guests come on in the past to explain it. Your opinions on CRT. What do you think of
critical
the
race theory is an academic hustle by black bourgeoisies to make some money. That's all it is. Academics is a multi-billion-dollar industry. Public school textbooks, college textbooks, curriculums, trainings, tapes. I mean, you have people who are millionaires simply off of selling academic content. Just like people do on YouTube, they sell useless social media content. Okay, well, in the academic world, they sell, academic content. It's a very lucrative business. So for opportunistic black bourgeoisies in the higher education field, they see CRT as an opportunity to write curriculum, an opportunity to give lectures, to give presentations. It's not about changing nothing, because if you want to teach black children about how critically racist America was and how racism has served as the foundational principle of every institution in this country, you can teach that to black children. Nobody's stopping you from coming into the black community and teaching that to black children. So why is it not being done? It's the same reason why black history is not being taught to black children in the black community. We have all these PhDs in African studies. Right here in Philadelphia, we are home to the oldest PWI with an African-centered PhD program, Temple University. So why do we have thousands of PhDs in African studies that have just exploded over the past generation, but yet black children still don't know who they are? It's the same reason why CRT theorists are not teaching CRT in the black community. They want money. It's about money. All of this is about making money. Nobody's trying to really change the way America thinks, operates, or functions. People are just looking for how they can exploit and make a few dollars off of the popularity of discourse about racism.
Wow. That's I've actually never even considered it that way. That's that's kind
money.
of
Whenever somebody brings you anything that has to do with wokeness, anytime you hear any new woke strategies, most wokeness is money. It's hustle shit. Look at the black consciousness community, right? Of which I'm the biggest voice in the world. Many of these brothers, no disrespect to none of them, they're just trying to get paid. They're just trying to get paid. They need to pay their bills. They need to take care of their children. And hey, I'm not against that. My problem is the priority of the freedom struggle is not about paying your bills. The priority of the freedom struggle is about liberating our people. And one of the biggest differences between the black consciousness movement today and the black consciousness movement of the 1960s is that in the 60s, they did not have the education that we have today. But they had the work ethic, they had the commitment, they built the institutions, they fought against the structures that were disadvantaging black people. Today, we have all the information and almost no activism. You can hardly find a Negro on YouTube claiming to be conscious or woke who's doing anything relevant in the black community besides expressing their opinions on issues.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
It's all about money. Everybody's hustling. And that's why I try to be the alternative. I'm not perfect. I'm a human like everybody else. Everybody has contradictions. We work through them as people. But when it comes to the struggle, the freedom struggle is extremely sacred to me. I do not hustle it. I do not play with it. And I will not work with other people who are about hustling the freedom struggle. I've often been asked, in recent history, why don't you work with other people in the consciousness community? Why do we always see Dr. Umar doing his own thing? It's because I have to work with like-minded people. I am about the liberation of African people. I am not about making money. If I can make money after the fact, that's okay. But making money is not my priority. I did not get involved in the Frederick Douglass and Marcus Garvey Academy mission. I didn't go through hell for the past eight and a half years, sacrifice my own time, my own life, my own energy, my own money to bring forth the school for black boys because I'm trying to hustle my people. Some of us are takers. Some of us are givers. I'm a giver. The problem is we have too many takers in black consciousness.
So I have a question, and I actually commend you on the school, even though because, you get some kickback because it takes a while and all this stuff. And
institutions take time. Institutions take time.
I mean,
the problem is the people who are criticizing institutions have never built one. If I've never baked the cake, how can I criticize your cake? If I've never driven a car, how can I criticize the way that you drive? If I've never ran in a track meet, how can I criticize how slow you ran in a track meet? I have yet to be criticized by any Negro on the planet Earth who has built an independent, relevant institution in this century, because I'm the only one in this country I know of who has done so.
And I actually commend you for actually putting your money, for lack of a better term, putting your money where your mouth is. Hey, I'm saying I'm about this. I'm actually going to do something about this. So my question to you is, and it's not, I guess it's twofold, is you said activism. Now, are we wrong to say, hey, just because they don't help the way I think they should help, as long as they're doing something to help further the narrative and help push this forward, they're in the right?
Okay. What is the something that they're doing? Please educate me, because
other than going on YouTube, right?
YouTube is not
Other than going on YouTube, I couldn't tell you. I'm not going to actually tell you. I know.
Anybody who is serious about liberating the Black community do not consider social media activism. We are in a very poor state as a people if a YouTube video classifies as activism. That's a damn shame. Stokely Carmichael is turning over in his grave.
Huey P. Newton. Malcolm
X. Wells is turning over in her grave.
Yeah.
Fannie Lou Hamer is turning over in her grave. Frederick Douglass, Booker T. Washington, Huey P. Newton, they are all turning over in their grave if you're going to sit here and call social media activism.
I agree with you on that. My question is, and I guess like LeBron went and did a school, and I know it's a
LeBron James did not do a school, my brother.
I was going to correct myself.
Please stop telling lies.
I was going to say he took a public school. He took a public school, threw his name on it.
Anything? No, he did not. No, he did not.
Explain to me, sir. Explain to me, sir.
You are wrong. The Akron Public School District. Let me say that again. The Akron Public School District. Let me say it one more time. The Akron Public School District opened a public school and put LeBron James's name on it. And in honor of that, LeBron James decided to contribute some money, some sneakers, some free paid college educations, and that's the LeBron James Public School. He did not start it. He does not control it. He does not own it. I wish y'all stopped telling lies.
So my question, and that's what I mean. So that is a form of activism, just that. So
that is not activism. That might be activism for you, my brother.
Okay.
A school full of white women teaching Black boys, run by the public school, where they're still being special educated, medicated, juvenile adjudicated. That is not activism. Not for me. Maybe for you. That's not activism.
I understand.
Oh man. All right. So moving on. Next question. What are, in your opinions, the biggest need for Black America that you see that would have a significant influence in a positive direction?
You need a psychological revolution, an educational revolution, and an economic revolution. Psychological, the mind rules everything. Until you free the mind, you free nothing else. We must change the way African people think in order to change the way African people behave. Right now, Negroes are out hemorrhaging tens of millions of dollars on last-minute Christmas gifts that nobody will be thinking about 2 weeks after Christmas. That is a psychological problem, but it also causes a what? A economic problem. The Christmas shopping holocaust is a psycho-economic war against Black people. And then the educational, we have to educate Black children how to think, how to act, how to behave. You understand me? So you have to teach them who they are. You have to teach them what's important, what's relevant, what's their priorities, because most Black children are being educated by gangster rappers and white media. Not even the church. The church is not even relevant in the life of Black youth at all. It's only relevant to the Black community because most of our middle-aged and older people see in church the only form of escape from a life of misery. But church is totally irrelevant to Black children because they do nothing for Black youth. The church don't have schools. The church don't have jobs. The church doesn't fight against miseducation. The church doesn't fight against juvenile incarceration. The church is totally irrelevant to Black youth. We need a psychological holocaust. And then after you have that, you need your educational and economic holocaust. Until you teach your children how to be loyal to themselves, until you teach Black people how to use money to liberate themselves, you do nothing else for Black people.
Wow.
Agreed.
Wow. What about guns? So we're a firearm organization that helps people learn how to use firearms responsibly. How has America treated African Americans in gun ownership different than it has treated other demographics in gun ownership?
Well, of course it has. In fact, if we go back to the 1970s, one of the strategies that the war against crime implemented in order to disarm members of the Black Panther Party and the Black Liberation Army is they said that if you had a felony, you can no longer carry a weapon. I don't know if you gentlemen know that, but the reason why felons can't carry weapons is to disarm Black revolutionaries and activists. They would lock you up, charge you with a felony, so the next time they caught you on the street, they knew you didn't have a gun on you, and it would be much easier for the police to take your life. So there has always been a war against Black people being able to defend themselves. I am a staunch supporter of gun ownership for Black people. As long as white people are going to have guns, Black people need to have guns.
Sure. Absolutely. 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 Obama, you had some really pointed ideas of how Obama wasn't a shift for America, and how a lot of people thought that he was the change of or representation of a new America. What do you think Obama represented in America in his presidency?
Well, Obama meant different things to different people. For me, someone who thinks of politics in a very dispassionate manner, for most Black people, politics is religion. We approach politics the same way as we approach religion, through a belief system. I don't deal with politics through a belief system. And also, Black people's political thought is also handcuffed and incarcerated by their religious narrative. So we often sit around looking for politicians who are going to come and serve as messiahs to liberate the Black community. How in the hell can the Democratic Party produce a Black messiah when the damn Black people running on behalf of the Democratic Party are financed and controlled by white people? You will never get a political messiah from a white racist political party. I don't care if it's the Democratic Party, Republican Party, Green Party, Libertarian Party, Communist Party, or any other party. Barack Obama was made president for two simple reasons: domestically, to push homosexuality, Black family destruction, and internationally to push AFRICOM, the American military command system on the African continent, which at last check has successfully given birth to about 6 or 7 coups, overthrows of legal, democratically elected governments on African soil. So AFRICOM is in Africa, destabilizing leaders who will not do what the white man wants them to do. And so now Joe Biden comes back last week, a few days ago, and says, we're going to put $55 billion into Africa. But what nobody's telling you about that $55 billion, in exchange for that, many of the African nations have to give up control of certain deposits of very, very wealthy natural minerals. So it is nothing but the neo-colonialism of Africa through President Joe Biden. And the reason why this can be so easily done in Africa, the same way it can be so easily done in Black America, is most of our mainstream publicly supported leaders are sellouts, opportunists, and functionaries for the white power structure.
Wow. We just had in Georgia, Governor Warnock. I think he just ended up winning that race against Herschel
Senator
Walker.
Warnock.
Senator Warnock. Yeah. What was your thoughts on that race as it happened?
Was useless.
Yeah.
It was useless. You got two sellout Negroes. Raphael Warnock for the Democratic Party plantation, Herschel Walker for the Republican Party plantation. Neither one of them had an agenda for Black people. Neither one of them. Right? And I'm just watching this whole thing. This is absolutely ridiculous. That runoff between Warnock and Walker was a perfect metaphor for everything wrong with Black mainstream politics. Two Black men and not a single Black issue represented between them. It doesn't matter who wins. Black people lose.
Yeah. Wow. Oh man, that was great. So what about the BLM movement? So they've done some recognizable things in the Black community, but they've also had a little bit of a scandal going on. Do you think the BLM movement has helped in the narrative and pushing African Americans to in a more positive direction?
The Black Lives Matter organization was an LGBTQ organization disguised as a Black revolutionary movement in order to attract young Black activists and then influence them into same-sex relationships.
Wow.
Black Lives Matter was funded by white population control junkies, just like George Soros. No serious Black organization would ever accept a penny from a population control junkie. So Black Lives Matter was white America's strategy to select a new Black form of leadership that they could finance and control. And Black Lives Matter also represents a move away from the white power structure looking for individuals to control the masses of Black people, and is now looking towards organizations to control the masses of Black people. And the reason there is a shift from the individual leader to the organizational leader is because most of our great Black leaders no longer have a connection to some of our greatest heroes. What I mean by that, Al Sharpton had a connection to Jesse Jackson. Jesse Jackson had a connection to Dr. King. Minister Farrakhan had a connection to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and to El Hajj Malik El Shabazz. And you have a few other elders out there who had a connection to some of our greatest heroes.
Sure.
So it was easy to control Black people through them because they're still living off of the borrowed fame and legacy of an ancestor. Well, guess what? We're in the 21st century. You don't really have anyone now who can say, I walk with Malcolm. Who do you got out there now can say, I walk with King, I walk with Huey, I was with Medgar Evers, I was with Fred Hampton. Most of them are elders now or ancestors.
Or dead.
So America recognizes we can no longer use the legacy of dead Black people to control Blacks. We now have to come up with a new strategy because the old leadership thing is in. Minister Farrakhan, Reverend Sharpton, Reverend Jackson, they're probably the last three prominent leaders who have a connection to great Black heroes. So in the new Black America, we're going to have to change up and go for organizations.
Wow.
Okay. And so that, and Black Lives Matter was their first test case. And I would say it was a very successful one too, because they raised a lot of money. They attracted a lot of attention. They're still functioning now, despite the fact that they've been exposed for being economic hustlers in the Black community. And I'm going to tell you what I find most interesting about that. We haven't raised nowhere nearly as much money as Black Lives Matter.
Wow. Yeah.
But we had already been audited by the IRS, FDMG Academy.
Wow. Really?
Wow.
Oh, yes, we have.
Wow.
So when I sit there, I say, wait a minute. We don't even have nowhere near what they got. And we've already been audited. They have hundreds of millions of dollars, has spent it on homes and contracts to family, and they have not been shut down by the IRS or Department of Justice.
Wow.
Do you understand where I'm coming from?
Oh,
So how does the FDMG Academy, the little FDMG Academy gets audited by the IRS? We're not even open yet.
Wow.
Here's Black Lives Matter up and running with hundreds of millions of dollars, has been proven to have scammed Black people.
Wow.
And they haven't been shut down yet. That's how you know they're a government operation.
Wow. Wow.
Targeting to the full extent.
Targeting to the full extent.
Wow. That's that's eye-opening for sure.
Before you go to your next question, I do have to plug the school. I want all my brothers and sisters out there to donate to the Frederick Douglass and Marcus Garvey Academy. Get on your Cash App, $FDMG School. Get on your Cash App, $FDMG School. Get on your PayPal for my international Africans and PayPal users, FDMG Academy. One word, FDMG Academy on PayPal, FDMG School on the Cash App. You can also mail your check or money order donation payable to the FDMG Academy, P.O. Box 9634, Wilmington, Delaware, 19809. All that information is also on my website, drumarjohnson.com. Please subscribe to my video on demand platform, drumar.tv. That's www.drumar.tv. And that is the new place where I'll be putting all of my new analyses, educational seminars, lectures, and reviews, drumar.tv. And any parent out there with issues involving your children, you need some help, some consultation. If you need somebody to assist in reviewing your child's psychological evaluation report, helping you understand it, giving you input on your IEP, helping you control disruptive behavior, stopping the school from medicating or special educating your children, you can reach me at drumarjohnson@yahoo.com, or you can also text message me directly at 215-989-9858. That's 215-989-9858.
That's beautiful. You had a question on the school?
Yeah, I wanted to ask, because we started talking about it earlier. So about the four main, you said it based on the school district, what the four main things you have to hit?
Every school in America, public, private, parochial, independent, charter, you got to have math, you got to have science, you got to have language, you got to have social studies.
Now, my question is, what's the curriculum going to look like at your school?
Well, we will have the same thing as well, but the core FDMG curriculum will be political and military science, financial, and economic science, dietary and nutritional science, agronomical and agronomical science, science of the Black man, woman, and child, and the science of African spirituality and cosmology.
Okay.
Wow. Well, the King Kong of Consciousness has graced us with his presence. We thank you so much, Dr. Umar, for swinging by. Real quick, let the audience know what you got going on.
What do we got? I'll be in Washington, D.C. for Kwanzaa at the Thurgood Marshall Center on Thursday, December the 29th, 6 o'clock. It's a free event. All you have to do is show up while there's still seats. And then on Friday, I'll be in the Bronx at St. Helena's Church in the Bronx, New York. That's from 4 until 8. D.C. is from 6 until 9. The Bronx is from 4 until 8 on Friday, December the 30th. And if all goes well, I'll be in Africa bringing in the new year at the University of Ghana, lecturing at the East Legon campus on January the 3rd.
That's beautiful. All right, guys, if you made it this far, you are the real one. Thank you guys for checking us out. I'm Dan. This is Dave. That was Dr. Umar Johnson. And we are out.